Hello there, sword friends. Today I'm going to tell you about this Wakizashi right here from The Romance of Men. And it's called the Ukiyoemidou. I'm going to screw up the name, but it's going to be in the description down below if you're inclined to get one. There will be a link there on where you can find it. Some disclaimers to note before I get into it. One, this is a review sample from Romance of Men that was sent to me at my request. I didn't have a Wakizashi, and I asked them to send me one so that I'd have something to compare and contrast Wakizashi to. But my intention is not to break this one, but keep it around as a visual aid. And they obliged and sent me this one. It's what I chose from them, and that's because it had some features that I don't normally get to talk about. One, it's Wakizashi, obviously. Two, it has some themes that are a bit risque, and three, it has a colored blade that is not something I get to often test out, but that people ask me about often enough. Do know as well that I do study Japanese-style swordsmanship, but I'm in no way an expert on it, not an authority figure on the subject, so keep all of that in mind as you hear my musings and ramblings. Gonna intend to tell you about the sword bit bob fit features, tell you how it held up to some aggressive use, which I have put it through, and it's still in one piece anyway, so that's a good thing. And then I'll tell you if I think it's worth it or not. So hopefully it's an interesting ride for you. To start, this is a $215 approximately. It's $250 or $220 depending on if it's on sale or not. And so that's kind of the lens by which I'm going to look at it. I think it has a lot of features for that money, but it's also got some stuff that I would say is not quite up to snuff, and we'll go through it. To start the review, I'm going to begin with the kasha, and right here we can see the theme and risqueness begins. Now, just from a build quality perspective, the engravings, or rather the castings, do look a little muddy. They look honestly a little bit cartoonish, and I've seen this fitting set before done in an earlier Wakizashi as well, I think, that I had many years ago and sold. This one, though, looks like the castings have seen better days and don't appear to be as crisp as perhaps they once were. Also, along the edges, they don't show any detail. It's just kind of the end bit here. And more or less what it looks like is a guy dry humping somebody. It's not particularly eloquent. I can't tell what's going on, but it doesn't look like it's very exciting. In any case, the theme begins its risqueness, I guess, in that regard. In terms of build quality, I don't think the Fuchi is necessarily the best. Transition-wise, the way it lines up to the Ito, it's got a little bit of bunch down here, so the Ito is rolled over a little bit, but there's not as much bunch as there could be, and it doesn't appear to be terribly loose. Nothing's coming undone, and my hand doesn't get terribly distracted by the little bit of extra bunch down here. But there is a little too much material, so it wasn't measured properly when the handle was wrapped and tied down here. If I move up to the handle, well, the diamonds actually look reasonably well placed, and the Ito is not particularly tight. It's getting kind of passed by the skin of its teeth. I can push the middle riser area of the diamond around, and it displaces about 3 millimeters or so, maybe a little bit more, but I can't push it so hard that it comes undone, and I can't push the sidewall of the Ito so much that it's moving up and down the handle, which is it's an improvement. The first Romance of Men katana that I had did that. This is certainly an improvement from that, but still needs to honestly be tighter. It's just passing. It's just at the level of acceptable. And if you got something like this and were concerned about it, you could, I've heard about rubbing wax on it, like Renaissance wax, and then using a heat gun to kind of dissipate it and melt it into the fibers. I haven't tried that myself, but I have used lacquer to secure it, and that does the job, though. I don't think something you should have to do on a new sword. Underneath the diamonds, I can clearly make out that this is fake Samegawa. It's like a plastic substance of some kind. It has a little bit of rubbery texture to it, but I can at least make out that it is a fake Samegawa. And at $250-ish for Wakizashi, I think I've seen pieces that have at least real Samegawa in there. If that's important to you, then I suppose know that this doesn't contain it. The Minuki show the risqueness. I can't necessarily exactly make out what they are. This one looks like a sitting woman, and this I can't tell. They look like the characters from the Fuchi anyway. Moving on to, or rather the Kashiro down here. Moving up to the Fuchi, well, this is where I see a transition error. There's a noticeable step here. I can't say that I felt it in moving it around. It's got some ledges and some discomfort to it. It's not the right size. This handle should have been a little bit bigger to accommodate this Fuchi, but I can't say that I noticed it in actually swinging the sword around. I was probably grabbing it a little lower because I do feel ledges here, but I didn't notice it in usage. And what I do see here is some lady. I think I can see a nipple in there. I'm not sure. But anyway, it looks like the lady's killing the guy. I think, or it's a position I'm unfamiliar with. It has a little bit more detail in it, but again, the castings just look muddy. They look a bit cartoonish. At the same time, I can make out some imperfections, some sanding lines, some spots where the mold isn't necessarily doing what it's supposed to be doing. Moving up to the tsuba, we don't have a raised rim. Build quality, again, continues with the risque theme, and I can't remember. There's a word for it in Japanese. I've been told, but I routinely forget it. But either way, we got the naked lady on the front of the tsuba right here, as well as on the business end of the blade. There's, this time the embrace looks a little bit warmer. She doesn't look like she's killing the guy or terribly depressed, but it's tough to say. Again, the features and stuff on the people as well as on the plants and stuff are just a little bit muddy, but clear enough where you can tell that it's a little bit of a risque theme. Tsuba is also on there pretty secure. It doesn't, well, it's wiggling around a little bit now, but it was pretty tight when I got it. The saya is actually pretty cool. It has this cherry on it, and it has a texture. I can kind of run my hand up and down the scabbard and kind of feel these paint blobs. I'm guessing that they sprayed larger blobs of red paint, then sanded them down, then kind of clear coated and black painted over it. And it's got a kind of a cool cherry bark looking theme to it. I happen to think that the scabbard is actually pretty cool looking. I came with these shiridome in the kurigata area. They came undone right away, and I don't like them, but you can remove them pretty easily. I just honestly prefer they weren't there because they come out so easily. I don't know if anyone else that hangs it on a wall really cares about them or not either. So I think it's an opportunity to save a few cents. Other bits to note, I don't see horn pieces on here. I mean, it looks like they're there, but when I look at the Koiguchi mouth area, it doesn't appear that there's any horn in the scabbard, but I do like the paint job. From a functional standpoint as well, it's tensioned reasonably well. It doesn't fall out, but a little pull and it comes loose. It doesn't have any rattle to it, so despite what kind of horn pieces are lacking typically, I think in a $200 Wakizashi, it's tensioned reasonably well and feels actually pretty good in the hand. Anyway, blade-wise, this has I don't know what coating it is, but it looks like a purplish, reddish, dark color, and it is pretty cool. It has like a ladder pattern on it as well. It's not a pattern that I typically see in folded steel. So it's folded, it's colored, it came very, very sharp, and it's remained actually very, very sharp. It's still really quite keen. It came out of the box really, really clean and sharp. Lines on it are reasonably good. I would say it had like an odor of magic markers when I first took it out of the case. It's since gone away, and I want to say it was a deeper purple color, but as I've cleaned the blade off from cutting it, I think I've taken some of the darkness away, and now it has I'm seeing some tinges of orange, but it's mostly like a purple, dark red kind of color in here. I can clearly make out the folding though. It's at least pleasant in that regard. I don't believe it's differentially hardened, so there's no hamon to bring out, but the color and the folding pattern do make something interesting to look at, and while color blades to me are a little bit gimmicky, it's fun. It's fun to look at. I could do without the magic marker smell, but it's at least something different, something kind of fun. If you have fun with it as well, I can't blame you for liking the feature. I was kind of concerned that it wouldn't hold up well either, but I did some aggressive chops into branches, and I see scratches and stuff like that, but the patina on the blade, because it's an etching that's done this, is held up. I was able to cut pool noodles, water bottles. I was able to cut branches. They're pretty green cottonwood branches. They're nothing substantial, but pretty thick branches, and do some aggressive cutting, and it held up. It didn't diminish the etch, which I was very, very surprised about. It's a little bit more durable than I expected. The edge, and however it's tempered as well, held up pretty well. Now, on the same day, I was cutting with some other swords, and other edges diminished on the wooden targets that I was using. This one still feels very, very keen to the touch, and I was cutting with a different Hanwei Banshee sword at the same time, and I lost its edge. I used it a little bit more than this one, but I used this waki a little bit more aggressively on some thicker targets, and it's maintained its edge. So however it's heat treated, it's done in such a way that the edge seems to hold up reasonably well, in contrast to some other edges I was at least testing on the same day. And I suppose that actually brings me to some other bits of usage. In terms of using it, I don't use Wakizashi actually a lot. I'm not at a rank in either of the Kenjutsu styles that I study that I've gotten to use one. So I'm somewhat unfamiliar, but in general, it feels comfortable in the hand. I feel like I can move it around. The tension on the saya appears right. I don't know kata to use this exactly, but I can say that from a general user perspective, it's a little bit on the large side, but at the same time, not so much that I can't move it around, and I had some success in cutting with it. It was very familiar, given that it's a baby katana, so to speak, but I was able to use it effectively, cut reasonably well. It held up better than I expected. It held its edge better than I expected. The patina held up better than I expected. So overall, it's been fun to use. I just can't really say much about the martial perspective. I can tell that the Ito could be a little tighter. The tension is good, but I don't do kata with it, as I mentioned earlier, because I don't know any yet. Anyway, I will get there at some point. All right, sword friends, that is the meat and potatoes of the review. That's all I can really share with you. Hopefully it's been helpful. Measurements, links, all that kind of stuff will be in the description down below. If you're so inclined, you can take a look there. It's time for me to answer the question, though, do I personally think it's worth it or not? And at $215, I will say no. I don't think so. And it's kind of a catch-22 because it's the unique features that make it not really for me. It's a little nichey, and money is spent on this sword into things that I don't personally value, like the colored blade and the risque fittings and the paint job on the scabbard that doesn't have the fittings that I would, the horn pieces that I would necessarily like on a scabbard that has a nicer paint job. So there's some odd mix of where the value is placed. But that's what drew me to the sword as a review example, so that I could show the paint job, and so I could show the risque fittings, and so I could show the colored blade. Namely, the colored blade is what I get a lot of questions about. So it's almost unfair for me to say no, because those are the things that got it, but also the things that make it not worth it to me personally. I do think, though, that there's some interesting callouts here. The paint job on the scabbard is good. The tension on the scabbard is good, but it doesn't have the horn fittings that I would like. There's still room and improvement to grow on the overall fit and finish of the handle. Ito could be tighter, and the transition to the Fuchi on this one is not great, but it's not catastrophically bad like the first sword I got from Romance of Men. It's a marked improvement in the right direction, and I'm very happy to see that it's held up. Not only was it tighter and better fit than the first one, but I did some abusive stuff with it, and it's still in good shape. I cut branches. I did aggressive things with the Wakizashi, things that some people would consider abusive and some wouldn't. But either way, the Ito is still tight and serviceable. This is still a functional weapon, still in good shape. I'm also really impressed with the patina on the sword. I thought for sure that cutting into branches would leave scratches deep enough to show kind of the metal underneath. It didn't seem to be the case here. So there's some cool stuff about it, but at the same time, it's just not for me. Anyway, I do now, at least it is for me in the sense that I have one now. So I do have a Wakizashi. If there are things that you would like to see me use a Wakizashi for, I now, thanks to Romance of Men, have an example to share with you about it. So if there are questions about a Wakizashi, comparisons to other swords you would like to see done, throw that in the commentary down below. I'm also going to just give a special thanks here to Romance of Men. I reached out to him, said I don't have a Wakizashi as a visual aid. People are asking me some questions about it. Would you send me one that I can use as a visual aid? And they obliged. So tip of my hat to Romance of Men for sending me the Wakizashi to share and to keep around as a visual aid, knowing that I wouldn't be breaking it. Anyway, that's all I've got. Hopefully it's been helpful. Cheers, and thanks for watching.